Welcome to the channel. Today, we're re-examining one of the most significant and meticulously recorded military confrontations of the ancient world, the Battle of Kadesh. Fought around 1274 BCE between the forces of the Egyptian New Kingdom, led by Pharaoh Ramesses II, and the Hittite Empire under King Muwatalli II. This battle is often cited as the earliest military engagement for which we have extensive tactical and logistical documentation. It is not only the first battle in history recorded in considerable detail, but it also stands at the crossroads of diplomacy, propaganda, and imperial ambition in the late Bronze Age. More than just a clash of arms, the Battle of Kadesh represents the culmination of a centuries-long rivalry between two ancient superpowers vying for control over the Levant, a region whose geopolitical importance has never waned. To understand the battle's context, we must appreciate the balance of power in the 13th century BC. The Egyptian New Kingdom, particularly under the reigns of Seti I and his son Ramesses II, had reasserted itself as a dominant imperial force in the Near East after a period of relative decline. Meanwhile, the Hittites, centered in Hattusa in Anatolia, had expanded aggressively southward, absorbing vassal states and forging alliances in northern Syria. Kadesh, located near the Orontes River in what is now modern-day Syria, had become a key strategic objective. Originally under Egyptian influence, Kadesh had shifted allegiances to the Hittites during the reign of Pharaoh Akhenaten. Its recapture was not only militarily desirable for Egypt, but also symbolically necessary for restoring imperial prestige. Ramesses II launched his campaign in the 5th year of his reign, leading a formidable army composed of 4 divisions named after Egyptian deities: Amun, Re, Ta, and Seth. Estimates suggest that the Egyptian force may have numbered between 20,000 and 25,000 men, including charioteers, infantry, and supporting logistics personnel. The chariot, the premier battlefield technology of the time, played a central role. The Egyptian chariot corps was highly mobile and operated in close coordination with infantry. The Hittite army, although somewhat less detailed in Egyptian records, the events leading to the battle were shaped as much by deception as by strategy. Ramesses, advancing ahead of his supporting divisions, was fed false intelligence by captured Hittite scouts. They claimed that Muwatalli II and his army were still far to the north, when in reality, the Hittite forces were already encamped behind Kadesh and preparing for a surprise assault. The Egyptian army's divisions were spread out along the route of march, and the premature arrival of the Amun division at Kadesh left it dangerously exposed. This intelligence failure nearly cost Ramesses the battle before it began. Muwatalli launched his assault against the Re division as it approached the camp, catching it unprepared and throwing it into disarray. The Hittite chariots overran the Egyptian camp, killing and scattering soldiers in a chaotic melee. What followed was one of the most remarkable episodes of battlefield leadership in ancient history, at least according to Egyptian sources. Ramesses, allegedly with divine inspiration and personal valor, rallied his troops and led a counterattack. Reinforcements from the Ta division and allied troops from Amuru eventually stabilized the Egyptian position. The battle may have devolved into a stalemate, with neither side able to claim decisive control of the field. The Hittite army, perhaps overextended and unable to break the Egyptian lines completely, withdrew to regroup. Both armies sustained significant losses, and while the tactical situation remains unclear, the larger strategic picture reveals a different kind of result. What makes the Battle of Kadesh historically extraordinary is not merely its scale or tactics, but the extensive record left by the Egyptians. Ramesses II had his version of the battle inscribed on temple walls throughout Egypt in Karnak, Luxor, Abydos, and the Ramesseum accompanied by both prose accounts and poetic hymns known as the Poem of Pentor. These inscriptions present Ramesses as a heroic, near-divine figure who single-handedly saved Egypt from catastrophe. Yet modern scholars approach these texts with caution. They are fundamentally state-sponsored propaganda meant to glorify the pharaoh and solidify his divine legitimacy. Nevertheless, they provide invaluable insight into Bronze Age warfare, logistics, unit organization, psychological warfare, and battlefield geography. From the Hittite perspective, the picture is less vivid due to the paucity of surviving records. However, a tablet discovered at Hattusa containing a peace treaty signed years after the battle provides a crucial counterpoint. This treaty, often regarded as the earliest surviving international peace accord, suggests a mutual recognition of status between the two empires and an end to hostilities. It is notable for its parody in tone, unlike the triumphant Egyptian accounts of the battle, and it includes clauses of military alliance, extradition, and dynastic marriage. Ramesses II eventually married a Hittite princess, sealing a diplomatic union that would stabilize Egyptian-Hittite relations for a generation. The broader significance of the Battle of Kadesh extends well beyond the battlefield. It marks a turning point in the development of international diplomacy, where military confrontation was followed not by annexation or destruction, but by negotiation and treaty. It also reflects the peak of chariot warfare in the ancient Near East, just decades before the collapse of Bronze Age civilizations across the region. Within a century of Kadesh, the Hittite Empire would vanish, Ugarit would be destroyed, and even Egypt would enter a period of decline. The battle then stands as a monumental yet fleeting display of late Bronze Age state power, one that would not be sustained through the upheavals to come. As the first battle for which we have not only archaeological evidence, but detailed tactical and psychological narratives, Kadesh invites both admiration and skepticism. It shows us how ancient rulers used history to legitimize their rule, how military might was embedded in diplomacy, and how fragile even the greatest empires could be when confronting the limits of ambition, logistics, and human error. While it did not dramatically shift borders or lead to conquest, the Battle of Kadesh left a more enduring legacy, the birth of recorded military history and the first formal peace treaty known to humankind. In that sense, its significance is as much cultural as it is martial. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep historical dive into one of antiquity's most fascinating military engagements, please consider subscribing, leaving a comment, and sharing your thoughts on what Kadesh reveals about ancient geopolitics and statecraft. What lessons do you think modern powers can learn from this ancient clash of empires?